give it all to the person he has wronged. But if that person has no close relative to whom restitution can be made for the wrong, the restitution belongs to the Lord and must be given to the priest along with the ram with which atonement is made for him. Now it is my honor to introduce to you Tracy Robertson. Tracy is a friend who has spoken to us several times before, has become active in our Door County community, and we are so blessed to have you with us today.
Good morning, Unitarian Universalist. Are you guys called UUers?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Good morning, UU friends. I am so pleased to return to the UU Fellowship of Door County. This place feels like home for me. I'm always feel so welcome. And so I did bring notes today because those of you who know me know I have lots to say. And those of you who don't know me will find out that I have lots to say. So I'm going to try very hard to stay on task. But thank you for welcoming me back and for your willingness to engage in what for some of us can be difficult conversations about race and justice. Let's start with an exercise. When you came in today, you were given an index card and a pen. I'd like you to take that out. And those of you who are online watching this broadcast later, please participate as well. You'll need a pen and something to write on. Is everyone ready? All right. So for this exercise, I'm going to ask you to write something. To reflect, I want your knee-jerk immediate responses only. And when I say go, I want you to write down one word that instinctively comes to mind when you hear the word reparations. Don't overthink it and do not erase your original answer. One word. Right now. Go. I forgot my go. Go. Once you have your word written down, please hold your card up in the air. Just want to see who has. Awesome. Okay. All right. Awesome. And then now, if you feel comfortable, I want you to take a minute to share that one word with the person next to you. All right. So hang on to those cards. We're going to come back to those later, okay? All right. So I've done this same exercise with people in my own social circle, some of which are adamantly opposed to reparations, some who feel strongly as I do that reparations are necessary. So some of their words include never, hopeful, scary, righteous, unfair, now. Anybody have similar words or those words on their cards? Okay. So full disclosure, I'm not an expert on reparations. I'm a social justice advocate. I'm a DEI educator and trainer. I'm a community organizer. I'm a journalist. I'm an author. An expert grandmother. And most importantly, I'm a descendant of enslaved Africans to whom I believe reparations are overdue and owed. I'm still very much a student of this idea. And it's my hope that something I share today will ignite your curiosity enough that you will become a student of reparations too. There's a lot of complexity around this topic and much to consider, more than it's possible for me to cover in the time allocated here today. So I'm going to share some resources at the end in hopes that today's reflection is where our conversation about reparations will start and where it will hopefully not end. My own interest in reparations started with acclaimed author Ta-Nehisi Coates. Do people know Ta-Nehisi Coates? He's the author of Between the World and Me, and to me, an expert in everything that comes out of his mouth is brilliant. In 2014, he wrote an article called The Case for Reparations in the Atlantic. Have people read it? I see some head nodding. Excellent article. He's a fantastic writer. And the subtitle of that topic or that article is 250 years of slavery, 90 years of Jim Crow, 60 years of separate but equal, 35 years of racist housing policy. Until we reckon with our compounding moral debts, America will never be whole. Yesterday, I was talking to a friend who called to say hello, and I said, I'm going to be talking about reparations at the UU. And she says, well, Tracy, how do you define reparations? And I thought, well, that's pretty presumptuous of me to assume that everybody has a definition of it. So I, went to dictionary.com, and this is the definition that they provided. Compensation in money, material, labor, etc., payable by a defeated country or another country or to an individual for loss suffered by or as a result of a war. Monetary or other compensation payable by a country to an individual for historical wrong. America is and has always been at war with enslaved Africans. Yeah, some nodding. Okay. All right. I haven't lost you yet. All right. Excellent. So to me, what reparations means, and I think Mark's piece really spoke to this. And thank you for that piece. It was beautiful and meaningful, and I appreciate it. To me, reparations means repair. Repair for the billions of dollars that enslaved Africans contributed to this nation. Repair for the rape of African women and children and men. Repair for stolen and broken bodies. Repair for cultures lost and community lost. Repair for broken families. Repair for the billions of dollars that enslaved Africans have contributed to this nation. Even today, the average white family makes more than 10 times that of the average Black family. Mr. Coates has become my professor on the topic of reparations, and anytime he is asked to discuss and speak about it, I'm in the classroom. He always has something profound and deep to say. So, in thinking about that definition, let's think about the HR 40 bill. Have people heard about this bill, HR 40? So when Africans were freed, they were promised 40 acres and a mule. We still haven't gotten that 40 acres and a mule. But the people who enslaved us, slave owners, received reparations. They received, on average, about $300 per slave that they owned. So we paid our captors, but didn't pay the people who suffered from reparation. I think about so the bill establishes a commission to study and develop proposals for African Americans. That's what HR 40 is about. It's just a bill suggesting that we create a commission to study and learn about reparations and what that could potentially look like. So it's not saying that we're going to have reparations. It's just a study. And boy, have we studied other things. We study things that we care about. So I'm not quite certain why people have some discomfort around HR 40, but I have my suspicions. The commission will examine slavery and discrimination in the colonies of the United States from 1619 to present and recommend appropriate remedies. So reparations is not a new topic. The fight for Black reparations goes back to the 1800s. We've been having this conversation for a really long time. It's just recently started to get some wind, thanks to people like Ta-Nehisi Coates and other people, State Representative Sheila Jackson, who is really leading this charge, long overdue. So oftentimes, I've been talking for reparations since I read that 2014 article by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And here are some of the questions I often hear. How would we do it? Who's going to pay for it? What's it going to cost us? How could we possibly pull something like that off? Isn't slavery over? Why is this even a topic of conversation today? And I always say, I don't know how we're going to pull it off, but we've done harder things, right? And there are people out here who have the ability and the capacity to figure this out. We figured out COVID, right? A pandemic that we hadn't anticipated. And we figured out how to support people's medical and financial needs during the COVID pandemic. There are brilliant minds out there who could figure this out. We're a divided country, certainly, politically, and most certainly about reparations. In 2021, a Pew study found that 77% of Black Americans, compared to only 18% of white Americans, support reparations for the descendants of enslaved people. Big disparity there, right? So I imagine that some of you are saying to yourselves right now, and have said in places where it feels safe, you've been asking this question too, right? Why should I be liable for something that happened 150 years ago? None of us are currently alive, who are responsible are currently alive. Who's heard that argument? Yep. So to which Ta-Nehisi Coates replied, pension to the heirs of civil rights shoulders. We honor treaties that date back more than 200 years, despite no one being alive to sign those treaties. Many of us would like to be taxed for things that we are solely and individually responsible for, but we are American citizens and thus bound to a collective enterprise that extends beyond our individual personal reach. Would you agree? I don't have kiddos in school anymore. I have adult children and they have children, but I still pay taxes for schools. So this is not this idea of repair, this idea of paying our due, this idea of giving people reparations is not a new principle. We've done it. The precedent has been set. We've given reparations before. In 1988, the United States was forced to apologize and pay reparations to more than 80,000 Japanese Americans who received reparations for the U.S. government for illegally rounding up and putting them in prison camps during World War II. We've done it. Why not us? Why not now? I have my suspicions. I won't share them. Did you know that H.R. 40 was modeled after the Civil Liberties Act of 1988? That same legislation that gave reparations to Japanese Americans. It's been done. And we have some opportunities to move forward with some models in place. So in 2019, the city of Evanston, Illinois, achieved a historic milestone by becoming the first city in the United States to enact government funding reparations program. They're doing it. They're paying reparations to the Black citizens of their town. We have models that we can follow. It's pretty simple. So there's some debate amongst my own friends about what reparations should and could look like. Like, should it be financial compensation? Should it be land? Should it be casinos? Should it be a combination of all three? What could that look like? And amongst my friends, we have not come to a consensus. Some of us say it should be money, should be cash. Some of us say it should be land. But then we say, well, what about redlining? They'll give us land, but then they'll devalue that land to the point that it won't have the value, right? Some say it should be a combination of both. I don't know. I don't know what it should look like. What I do think, though, is that the committee should be comprised of descendants of African slaves who would then make that decision, right? Because anything for us should be informed by us. Right? Anything for us should be informed by us. So reparations has become a big topic once again in my mind because of a PBS documentary. Maybe 6 months ago, PBS released a documentary called The Cost of Inheritance, Reparations in the United States. And I watched this documentary. Originally, it was on YouTube, but now I hear that the documentary is behind PBS's passport wall, and that as a passport member, you can see it. I think it's like $5 a month to become a passport member. So I'm sorry that it's not readily available out there, but you can certainly tap into it. And the premise of, who saw the documentary? Has anybody seen it? I'd strongly recommend it. Here's the premise of the documentary. A white woman is at her grandmother's house. I think she's cleaning it out. And she finds this journal. And in the journal are a list of names: Bob Smith, John White. I don't know what the names are. And a value for each of those people. And what she realizes immediately is that those are the slaves that her family owned. So she then begins to seek out the descendants of those slaves because she's inherited some land from her grandmother. And so she goes out to seek the descendants of the land that she owns, and she finds them. And what she does is she takes the deed to her land and gives it to those families. It's a powerful documentary, and I cannot recommend it enough. And when I saw that documentary, I thought, wow. She said, this is not my land, right? Your relatives, your family, they built this land. They built our wealth. They are the reason why I was able to go to a certain school and the reason why I was able to purchase a certain home. They built this legacy. This is their land. And so she seeks them out, gives them this land, and has this long-standing relationship with them, and begins to talk to them and share some of the historical things that she learns through her research project. So I think that's an important piece to think about. So I think about, you said you feel like you're 39. Is that right? 39? I turned 55 on June 25th. And one of the questions that I ask myself is, can we wait? One of the things we talk about in our community is, someone said never, that it'll never happen, right? That I'll probably be dead if I'm 55 now by the time we reparate. And that concerns me. So I'm always here to challenge you. I'm always surprised that you invite me back because I challenge you. That's the UU way, though. You guys like controversy. You all like deep thought and thinking about how we can engage at a different level. And I appreciate that. So can we wait? I don't think so. I don't think we can wait. So I'm always here to challenge you individually. I'm going to share a story with you. There's a woman who lives in Appleton, Wisconsin. She's a very successful, high-risk pregnancy doctor. Is that an obstetrician? Is that what that title is? Mm-hmm. She owns her own practice. About a year ago, she picks up the phone, calls a Black friend and says, "Hey, I'd like to talk with you." She said, "I had a conversation with my kids this week, and I want to put you in my will. And the reason I want to put you in my will is because this is my form of reparation. My children don't need the money. They're all set. And I want to thank you and give you the money that you gave to my family. Give you your labor back. Give you your history back. Give you your land back." Right? So people are thinking about ways to reparate. What could that look like for you? What could that look like for you? That's the question I want you to ask yourself. Do you have property? Do you have wealth? Do you have assets? Do you have things that you could give back? Because we can't wait. We can't wait. I can't wait, right? What could you do as an individual person, as a collective, as a community, as a fellowship? What could you do to pay back the descendants of enslaved Africans? And that's what I want you to think about. You got your cards back? You got your cards? Okay. So based on the conversation we had just now, I want you to think about a new word. Now that you've learned a little bit, because remember, I can't tell you everything, but I'm going to give you homework because all good students do homework, right? I want you to think of what word, as you think about reparations now on the other side, what word comes to mind now? Do you feel more hopeful? Do you feel indebted? Do you feel anything as it relates to reparations now that you have a little more information? I'm going to give you a minute to think about that new word, and I want you to share that with the person next to you. I hear some sharing. I hear some sharing. I love it. How many of you had a new word? Most of you had a new word? Okay, good. Take that with you and reflect upon it today and over the next couple of days. So, in my work as a social justice advocate, I always, and a DEI educator and trainer, I always tell people that you cannot learn in silos. You have to learn, share, learn more, share, learn more, share, learn more, share. Talk to people who don't think like you. That's the challenge. That's really hard when you're a UUer, right? Because people here kind of think the same. We all think justice is important. But what about those people at the Thanksgiving table who are going to challenge you? You need to talk to them too. And here's how you have that conversation. You say, you have to talk about how you feel about a thing, right? You have to say, wow, Uncle Joe, when you said that thing, that really hurts, or anti-racism, or love for humanity, Joe loves you, right? So you have to leverage your relationships with people to have these more difficult conversations. But you need something to work with. So I'm going to give you some homework. You ready? So I really want you to look into and study HR 40. That's homework assignment number 1. You can just Google it, it's all out there. Look at it and study it and talk about it from how you feel about it. Hey, here's what I learned. You don't actually have to ask people to agree with you because people won't. Here's what I learned. Here's how that thing or that information landed for me. That's a way to invite people into conversation. I'm all about inviting people into conversation, right? So just talk about it from your perspective. You got to read The Case for Reparations by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Again, you can just Google it. It is powerful. You can Google him, put Ta-Nehisi Coates and reparations in YouTube, and hundreds of videos will come up. And you will learn, and you will learn, you will learn. He talks about other books. He talks about lots of resources. So definitely do that. I would certainly suggest that you pay the $5 to PBS. They always have great content for kiddos too, Freya, right? But watch that documentary. It really put the HR 40 and this idea of reparations back at the forefront of my own mind. Just watching this woman in action, watching this person think about her own wealth and how that wealth directly ties into the slaves that her family owned. And then there's a great podcast that I really like. It's called Pay the Tab. It's a who likes podcasts? I love podcasts. Yeah. It's called Pay the Tab, and it features 2 Japanese American activists who are currently working with the African American reparations community. So these are Japanese Americans who are at the front lines of this conversation around reparations. It's incredibly important. I love you guys. I think that's important to say I love you. And I think love is often about challenging, really challenging. What can you do individually, collectively as a UU? How can you support reparations? If you once you've done your homework and you feel like this is something that you can get behind, please vote for it. Please write to your legislators and say you support it. Please talk to your friends and say they should support it, or tell them why you think it's important. Here's what I've learned. That's always my tagline for people who I'm inviting into new discussions. Step out of your comfort zone and talk to those people who would be adamantly opposed. I've had some great conversations with people who feel like HR 40 should never happen and that we can't afford to do it. Those are some of the best conversations that I've had. Tap into me. I'm around. I'm here. You all have access to me. I'd love to sit down with anyone who would like to explore this further. We're going to have a conversation this afternoon in a little bit. And I'd love to just hear what your thoughts are and unpack this more. Because again, I'm still a student. I'm not an expert either. I'm still learning, exploring, asking myself those difficult questions, and then passing those difficult questions along to people that I care about and I want to engage. I appreciate this platform. I appreciate your willingness to just reflect with me about the idea of reparations. And I hope that I've given you just enough meat. There's so much to think about, so much to unpack, so much to process that I couldn't do it in this little bit of time. But I'm happy to continue the discussion. I'm available to continue the discussion. And I hope and invite all of you to have the discussion amongst yourselves. Thanks so much for the platform.
Thank you, Tracy. I don't know why. Every time you come here, I walk away feeling uncomfortable.
My job is done.
But out of that discomfort comes transformation. Please, as you are willing and or able, rise to sing hymn number 149. Lift every voice and sing. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. It's only the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat and weary feet, come to the place for which our fathers died. We have come over away with the tears that have watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white wing of our bright sun is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we need thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, forget thee. Settle beneath thy hand, and we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. Please remember that we will gather for coffee and cake in the gathering room. And then after about 15 minutes, probably 11:15 or so, we will gather back here to continue a conversation with Tracy. Our closing words come from the Reverend Emil Gudmundsson. And now, may we have faith in life to do the wise planting, that the generations to come may reap even more abundantly than we. May we be bold in bringing to fruition the golden dreams of human kinship and justice. This we ask, that the fields of promise become fields of reality. Go in peace, my friends.